I've been trying to get these guys to come play with us in the sand for ever.
We'll definitely do it. I'd like to go on not crazy days, but
Yeah,
we
that's
can set up a day where it's like not mayhem out there.
yeah. Well, that's we discussed that this year. I don't even think we're gonna go up there for the 4th of July week this year.
Yeah.
It's
Nah.
just it gets so chaotic, and it's actually a job to try to get up
Yeah.
there and get your vouchers and get in line, and it's just yeah. We'll do some off weekends or some
Weekdays.
midweek midday things. So
It's nice when you could like pull right in and unload and drive right out, and it's like
absolutely, yeah.
it's way better that way.
Yep.
But
Yep.
and I mean, ultimately, you're like, I guess it's probably safer to drive as hard as you want to drive when there's not as much stuff going on.
100%. Yep.
Hammer down.
Yep. Yeah. There's.
Nobody's going around the back of the hill or the wrong way.
Mm-hmm.
But
Yep.
at least I get out there and show some of them off to more of the people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
I don't know. I know they made the sound ordinance a big thing this year, so
Yeah.
getting the race cars out there would probably be pretty difficult.
Yeah, they have. Last year they started, and I mean, I guess nobody really knows what's going to happen this year yet, but I'm assuming they're going to start the year off just like they did last year, and be strict on it.
Yeah, we'll find out more.
Yeah.
We're going up there on the 5th anyways, so.
Yep. Yeah.
It seems like they'll be lax for a little bit, and then like the first like, big day they'll get, or any busy day, that's when they get real hectic.
Sure.
They're trying to keep people out of there.
Yep.
Well, usually during the week, they're not even standing there.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, most of the time they're not,
Yeah.
but yeah, busy days, which I mean that's understandable. I mean, let's face it. I will say they are a little bit too far underneath the microscope with it, maybe, but I mean a decibel level's a decibel level, and if you're over, you're over, but because there are some machines up there that, my golly, I mean, give me a break, man. Yeah, what I mean, mine's ridiculous. I'm not gonna lie. It's loud.
Have you passed? Or
I've
have they
never been
checked you?
checked. I've never been.
No.
I've never been stopped. Thank goodness.
It's quiet enough when he's rolling through.
Yeah. Well, I wave and smile and just be that
Yeah.
guy and just pray that
Yeah.
that they're not gonna stop me, because they ban you for 48 hours too when they do you.
I have clients now bring in their decibel readers when they buy exhaust to make sure that they're gonna like buy it.
Really?
Just, like our Maverick R exhaust is legal. It's
Okay.
like 2 decibels under. So it's pretty close, but it's legal.
Yep. Nice.
And I thought the Maverick R exhaust was pretty quiet. And it needs to be quite a bit quieter.
Yeah, and it just passes, isn't that sad?
It passes.
Yeah. Yeah.
I've never been checked there, but I guess it's like half of the rev limit
Yep.
where you got to rev it to.
Yep.
And then, or half of the factory rev limit.
Yeah, half of the factory. So, and then and I don't know the distance that they're measuring from the tailpipe, but
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I know back when I used to fly those giant scale remote control airplanes, most all of our fields had decibel limits as well, and those we would check those aside of the prop, at 20 feet. So, because that was the loudest part of the plane, you were not behind it or in front of it. But, anyways, it was typically 20 feet is what we were checking that decibel
Yeah.
at. So,
Yeah, I mean, they make rules,
yep,
Well, they do that because of somebody complaining. Somebody that bought a house on next to the dunes that's upset that people are making noise
yeah.
at the dunes and having fun.
Well, but it has been that decibel law has been,
Yep.
our rule has been there for a lot of years. It just has never been enforced, So,
There's always rules that they have that are used only when needed.
yep, that's what it is.
I mean, it's one way to control the amount of people that can get on the dunes.
Yep.
I mean, have they ever like slowed down people getting on, or they just send them?
No,
Now they let them go.
they just let them go, man.
And they got the new entrance where it's easier to even get in
Yeah.
if you're already ready.
Yeah, that new Dune Ready entrance, it's like, I mean, just a drive-through. Just
Yeah.
nonstop. Yeah. So,
I mean, I guess it's a quick way to like get rid of probably a quarter of the people if you're really stringent.
mm-hmm.
You know, like decibel level everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. Versus just trying to limit the number, you know?
Yeah.
And
It's
yeah.
probably tough, right? Like,
Yeah.
who's gonna be out there counting? I guess because you have to have someone counting the exit and counting the entrance.
Yeah, exactly.
It'd be a pain.
Yeah, and from what I've been told, most of those officers, what they claim, most of those officers can't count past 10 without taking their shoes off. I don't know though, because every one of them up there I think is great. I mean, I've had some encounters with them, and we chat with them, and they're awesome. They do a great job.
I mean, I drove my 120 car out there a couple times, and they didn't care. I mean, the exhaust was like, maybe I had a muffler on it. I can't remember. I don't think I had a spark arrestor on it or anything.
No.
But
Sure, I've seen them out there with no exhaust, no nothing out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It
Well, that's
depends
before.
on the day, I guess, ultimately.
You know,
But a lot of the people that are going there on the weekends, you know, or holidays, I guess they just want to make sure that they're going to be able to go because it sucked to go all the way out there and set everything up and then they kick you.
sure.
Well, especially if you got there on Thursday night, you're waiting around, got your vouchers at 7:00 in the morning, you're setting up, getting in the parking lot, and then you roll in. They're like, "Yeah, you can't go in."
And then, by the way, you have to leave for 48 hours.
Yeah, it's 4th of July weekend. I'm trying to hang out here, guys.
Yeah. That'd be a tough
that'd
one.
be a pain.
That would be a tough one.
That's okay. My Pro R is pretty quiet, so I'm happy with it.
Mm-hmm.
We definitely do got to get the Defender down there and get
It needs
that.
a little bit.
Yeah, 'cause the problem is that with the Can-Am Defender is that we're going down the solid road full of ice. As soon as I let off, the brakes, the engine, the engine brake kicks in and it starts putting us sideways.
Oh, dude, that thing is deadly on
Yeah.
icy roads. Deadly.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Really?
yeah. You can't let off the gas. It'll throw you right sideways.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, the engine braking on that. I told Jason, I said, we got to figure out a way to try to get this turned off. And I was going through all the modes, and we couldn't get it shut off.
I have to feather it off the gas lightly just to be able to get that thing to slow down without that brake kicking in, without putting us sideways on the ice.
Yeah, like it was deadly.
That,
I thought we were going to die. And the machine was going to do it to us. That was the worst part. Like, oh my gosh, we're going to die. We can't slow down. We have to just fly.
I guess you need it to go into just a rolling mode.
yeah.
You can't let the engine decelerate too quickly. I mean, there's definitely ways to make the engine not decelerate as quickly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
It's just if you're on slippery or anything like we're riding in the winter, we bought it for the ride in the winter.
yeah, for sure.
And we're riding on trails, we're riding on ice. You hit that thing, I'm like, man, we're going to barrel roll that thing sideways.
Yeah, dude. Even in 4-wheel drive, we were on that. It was an ice-covered logging road here a few weeks ago, and we were coming up to the guys, and he let off the gas, and the whole machine just sideways it went. I'm
That's
like,
crazy.
oh man, we're gonna die.
I guess I plowed this winter with it, so I was driving on the road, but I don't remember ever being that icy.
Yeah.
But
We were going, let's say we were going on the road, not 60 miles an hour. We're going 25 because that's the law.
Yep.
That's the law.
But when you decelerate at a higher speed, that thing just locks it in.
Instant.
Yeah.
Yeah, scary. I mean, it works great. I mean, if on the right platform or terrain, it'd be great. It works great. But
Downhill, everything.
yeah, but on the ice, oh, no bueno. No bueno.
Yeah, I guess that'd be interesting. I think if you guys wanted to get like a tuning device, I know it's not icy anymore, but that's something that could be messed with relatively easily
Nice.
Yeah.
to get it to like slow down on the way down.
Yeah, I didn't even
It's a
think
fine
about
line. See, the Defender is actually a little weird because the throttle body's so big on it. You could make it too aggressive, like playing with the pedal movement to throttle movement. It's kind of a fine line. So it is a little bit more of a pain to get that thing to cooperate, but it's definitely doable. You know?
Nice. So it's got a big throttle body on it. That's to accept boost, right?
Yeah, I mean, naturally aspirated, but boost helps. Boost always helps.
Yeah.
Well, that Ricky and the Boss guy was trying to ask if people put turbos on those yet.
Yeah.
I was like, yep.
Sure do.
I've tuned a couple. I got one at the shop. We had turned up pretty high, like 15, 16 pounds of boost. It's just got like, it's not our turbo kit, so there's just like a lot of oddities that are a pain to deal with.
Uh-huh.
But you know, my goal is to make a turbo kit for the Defender, like a nice kit that we can just have a calibration for that we send out and just works. You know, we don't have to deal with boost control issues or turbo issues or whatever.
Yeah.
And just have it work real good.
Well, we did learn down south, a lot of people are switching over to either the Rangers or the Can-Am Defenders for their mud riding on the lifted ones.
Mm.
Yep.
So turbos are going to be probably the next thing on those things.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm surprised, honestly, that I don't know if you guys seen the K&T turbo kit on that Expedition. Yeah, I think it's an Expedition.
No, I haven't.
1000. Dude, they got a factory intake manifold to bolt on that thing. Factory intercooled, all that stuff for like a turbo model. So like they got a turbo kit on that XP1000, or I guess it's like the Expedition 1000.
Okay.
And yeah, I mean thing's pretty sweet. I tuned that originally, not the King of Hammers that just happened. The King of Hammers before that, and it made pretty damn good power, honestly. You know, I think it was non-intercooled at the time. They put an intercooler kit on it. Yeah, that I think that's gonna be really popular.
I agree.
Like nice little turbo kits on those things that get them up in like more by the 150 to 200 horsepower range.
Yep.
In that low 100 or I guess just under 100 or over 100. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what they really need. You don't have to go insane, but they should be making high 100s. I'd say would be a good number.
Oh yeah.
Well,
Absolutely.
if an XP 1000 and a regular Can-Am initial ones are 100 horsepower, why can't they put the Defenders at 100 horsepower?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I mean, technically, the like the Maverick Sport or whatever with that 1000R, it makes more power, has like the better intake manifold on it, and some other small changes. But I tried to put one of those intake manifolds on the Defender and it won't fit under the bed. You'd have to like lift it up a lot. So the intake manifold's a little bit of a problem on the Defenders, but I know guys make aftermarket intake manifolds, and that might be something to really look at. To like get a bigger port, because we did a ported head on them, like high compression ported head, and we picked up. I don't know. I think it made 95 or 100 horsepower on the dyno, naturally aspirated. But there's still just so many restrictions in the system to get it to really move air, and they do really well.
Mm-hmm.
But a turbo is relatively easy, and honestly, like on the air conditioned models, like a supercharger kit or something, just steal the accessory drive and just drive a supercharger.
Yeah. And who is it? There is a company making those bolt-on superchargers for.
Oh, really?
Yeah, for those Polaris. Gosh, we just ran into a guy this last weekend.
Was it Brian that had it?
Up at that ride, he had it on a XP 1000. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
It must be like Craftworks or something?
I think it was Craftworks. I think it was.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah.
Well, that's a lot of power to put on.
Yeah, that XP 1000 was running good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They did pretty good.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, and it sounded.
I know it's on my radar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'd like to get the Defender turbo kit done, and then maybe get rid of that Defender, and then get a Polaris, like 1000.
nice.
Yeah, we got one. We got that 21 1000 XP. That machine is still hands down our best machine. It's been rolled, it's been beat, it's been head over heels down Test Hill.
Yeah.
And still runs great.
Yeah, that thing does run. It's been a very, very solid machine. Yeah. Yeah. So it's because they underpower them. You know, they just think they're like a Timex watch. They just take a lick and keep on ticking. You
Yep.
know.
It does help. I mean, less power definitely makes it easier on stuff.
Yep.
Clutches and everything else, axles.
It probably helps too that I don't drive it, but
That does help. Typically, somebody else is behind the
Yeah.
wheel besides Jason on that one.
I've only drove it I think twice,
Yeah.
and then yeah, that's about it.
Yeah.
And there was one even really driving it. I think it was just down the road and back.
Well, no, you had to take it up the mountain a couple of spots
Well,
for
Yeah.
Too
life.
scared to go.
Yeah.
yeah, I had to get in and get it up there, but yeah,
Yeah.
but it was pretty awesome.
Yeah. That's a great machine.
So,
That's a great machine.
so on your Pro R, what kind of stuff do you have for that motor? I seen you have the heads and like a turbo kit and a few other things.
Yeah, so we did so we've tested a lot of stuff naturally aspirated. So obviously we tuned it. I put individual widebands on each cylinder, and then adjusted the tune in the NA format for like equal distribution across each cylinder in terms of like air to fuel ratio. And then I noticed that the engine was basically in vacuum while we're making runs, more than barometric pressure. So we had a restriction in the system. I actually 3D printed the plate. It was like a plastic throttle plate, and I ran it like that. Which is pretty crazy. I'm surprised it actually worked, but I definitely, it was on the dyno. Let's say I would not do that in real life.
Yeah.
I couldn't stop the car from going. But so we did ported throttle body that picked up some power. I changed the intake system up quite a bit. So like it's really not the restriction is the airbox, the factory airbox.
Oh.
Okay.
Basically the restriction. If you didn't have a passenger seat, you could run an intake right off the throttle body into the cab with like a full filter. It would pick up like another 5 horsepower with that.
No kidding.
So then we put the turbo kit on it. We use a K&T turbo kits like our main go-to. And then once we did that, I already tuned the kit in Utah. So I flew out to Utah and tuned the first kit on the old man's car, Kim's car. And so we had a pretty good baseline really to work off of. Then we put it on my car at lower elevation. There's Salt Lake City, so it's pretty high elevation over there. Put it on my car, did the same test, 91, 93, race gas, E85. And then I think it made like 450 or something like that on E85. Makes pretty close to that on race gas. And then we drove it for quite a while on that. Like developed some clutch kits for it. Learned a lot in like the clutching department. And then we developed the like CNC head package for it. And I had it ported for a while. So then we tested the cylinder head on the turbo kit. And then we took the turbo kit off of it, put the factory exhaust back on it, made it naturally aspirated. And we were also testing at that same time the camshafts. So we got some cams to try. So I think like the results, I think we posted them. Might have been in a video, but I want to say it made like 235 on 85. Like that might have been with the throttle body already. So 235, 237 on E85, naturally aspirated with the throttle body. And then we did the ported head, and then it made like 249, 248, something like that. So it picked up like almost 14 horsepower if I remember. And then we did the cams, and it picked up like 2 or 3 with the cams.
Okay.
So I would have expected the cams to do a lot better with a better flowing head. But I think the Pro R cams are really good for that engine. Like they're already pretty rowdy in size comparison and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So honestly, on these little, I wouldn't say little, but on these power sports engines, it seems like the cams are a bit bigger than what you would normally see like in a road car. So like, I mean, you could take for example, you could take a bone stock Can-Am engine with a bigger turbo kit, and you make peak power at almost 9,000 RPM. You know, like a bigger camshaft, you just want to move it further right, which, you know, it's probably not really needed in that situation to just keep moving the power band to the right.
All right.
But yeah, I mean, so we've been, you know, really working on like the naturally aspirated side of things, just doing a ported throttle body, ported head, and, you know, drop that on and go. The turbo kits, I want to say it was like maybe 2 to 3 pounds less boost made the same power. So, like, you know, generally speaking, that's what you want to see when you port ahead. You know, like,
Yep.
more power per pound of boost.
Yep.
So, like the V2 head, for example, on the Can-Am platform, FP Green setup will make 260 all day. You know, it's like pretty traditional power level. You can just, I mean, we had 2 brothers that brought their cars in to do FP Greens on I think it was like 22 RRs. FP Greens with the ported head, like the whole 9. They both made like 290, 295. So it's an extra 30 horsepower on a Can-Am to do a ported head. And they'll make a little bit less boost, like 2 pounds less boost.
Isn't that awesome?
Yeah, it's pretty crazy.
Yeah, that is awesome. That FP Green package, that FP Green's a great turbo.
Yeah, I mean, it's been like the go-to for such a long time.
Uh-huh.
And then the S1 is like the new thing. Like so it's almost a green in terms of like the compressor wheel, but the turbine wheel is a higher flow turbine wheel.
No
So
kidding.
all that power gain from the green to the S1 is basically just a turbine wheel change.
No kidding.
So,
Hmm.
but I was stoked to see. I mean, I literally had my blue 21 with an FP Green on it, dynoed it, slid that FP Green out, slid the S1 in, didn't even change the tune, just made a pull, and it picked up like 20 horsepower.
Isn't that crazy?
Yeah, it was cool.
Wow. Same boost numbers, just more flow.
Yeah, same targets in the ECU. You know, it's a little bit of a complicated system, but you know, ideally it was trying to achieve the same amount of boost, amount of airflow.
Mm-hmm.
It's just it was flowing so much better out the exhaust through that turbine wheel that the power went up. So
Mm-hmm.
we're just moving more air altogether.
That's awesome.
But
Yeah. So if they want to get some of those parts, they go on your website.
yeah, I mean the website is pretty set up, but yeah, whalenspeed.com or whalen2.com.
Okay.
And then Dylan spent a lot of time to make like a little selector, so you can like
Yeah.
pick on your year. You know, like Pro R, for example, it's pretty simple. Obviously,
Yeah.
just like one model, but X3s have different years, so you can kind of pick out the packages that you want to pick and roll.
Yeah. Yeah. Dylan has done a great job with that website.
It's a ton of work, but yeah,
Yeah.
it's probably been like a 7-year project, I'd say.
Yeah.
Like working on a website.
Absolutely.
It'll probably be a lifetime.
Yeah. It's never going to stop. Yeah.
See, the problem is I keep making stuff, and then he's got to find a place to put it on there.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's all your fault, John. That's what he says when you're not
Yeah,
around.
it's like, man, we got to get those S1s on there. He's like, man, where am I going to put them?
Yeah.
Oh, we got to revise the packages.
I bet, you know. Well, same with your inventory racks. Man, the first time I walked in there and seen you, you know, back in 2020, I think you had about...
It was probably all open right there, right?
Yeah, it was all open.
didn't
He
have
had
anything.
like 3 totes with stuff in it. And I'm like, man, this guy's an engine builder. And, and then I left there, of course, just on top of the world. And now you walk in and golly, buddy, it's, impressive.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, you could pretty much do, I mean, within reason, like a lot of drop ship and
Yep.
create a relationship with somebody and move it. But then it comes to a point you just have to stock stuff.
Mm-hmm.
It's really got to be, especially like our products that we make. You got to
Yes.
have quite a few of them on the shelf at all times so that,
Yep.
you know how it goes. You want to buy something right now. Like, we're busy people, right?
Mhm.
So I'm going to call in. I want an intake manifold. If you don't have it, it might be the best option, but I might just buy something from somebody else because I got to have it by the weekend. It's
Yep.
just
Yep.
what it is.
Yep.
Well, I just ran around to get rear brake rotors for the Pro R. Only one person in Michigan had it in stock, so I had to drive there to get it.
Yep.
Yep.
Yeah. Because they weren't going to come into the 18th, and I'm like, well, I'm riding on the 5th.
Yeah.
Right. You got to have them.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
people blow an intake manifold up. they're looking to buy. They'll probably start with the best. If they don't have it, they'll just go down the list.
Yep.
Find
Yeah.
one that's-
They're going to find one.
Shoot, I went and bought for the Pro R. We were at the dunes and I blew a tire out. I couldn't find the same one. I spent $4,000 for Kaiser rims, the paddles, the front cuts.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I was like,
Yep.
okay, I needed to keep riding. It's a long weekend.
Yeah.
I think it was
Yep.
4th of July.
It was 4th of July. Yeah.
I'm like, I'm paying $4,000 for this. I don't care. I'm riding.
Yeah.
Yep.
They had it.
That's a big. Yeah, I mean, this world, like the side by side world, like a lot of the community is very similar in how they work. Like they all have a very busy schedule. It seems like everybody's got an extremely busy schedule and they're ready to go right now. Like the amount of next day shipping we do is insane. Like
Yeah.
UPS must love us. Like how much money we spend in next day shipping.
I
And
bet.
it's not just to the East Coast. We're next day shipping to California and Utah, Arizona, all that stuff. So
Man.
Yeah,
they
it's
get
worth it.
now. Yep.
Yeah. It's broke. I want to ride this weekend, or I just paid for my vacation. I'm not wasting the
Yeah.
rest of my vacation.
Yeah.
In the grand scheme of things, even though it can seem like a lot of money, it's probably a pretty small chunk of what that weekend cost you to even get there.
Yeah.
Sure. 100%.
Well, I think it was 2 years ago, I blew the motor on 4th of July at Silver Lake. And I sat there and I pouted. I'm like,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
yep.
I've
I was
been
like,
there.
I was like, I'm not riding. I'm going home.
Yeah. I've been there. In fact, my first blown motor is what spawned me to meet Mr. John Whalen.
Yep.
Oh yeah, you had I would say you're the only one I've ever seen with that still to this day.
You have
Broken
never
wrist
seen
pin.
anybody break a wrist pin.
Nope.
That crazy?
It's extremely rare. I mean, generally the piston will go first.
Mm-hmm.
Like if the pin is flexing enough, but yours broke in a weird spot.
Yeah.
It's not traditional to break there. But yeah, I mean, we've seen a ton of engines, and it's extremely rare to see how that wrist pin broke that way.
Yeah.
Like
Well,
straight down the middle.
straight down the middle and then polish itself from.
Yeah. The rod bushing, like the connecting rod, was holding the thing together in there
Yeah.
until it just worked itself out and just, let go.
It was held itself together for a while. You could see where that brake had been. It had
Yep.
been broke for a while.
Yeah. Rarely do engine components continue to run for that long when they fail.
Yeah.
I guess, the pin clips are holding it in the piston,
Yep.
so it can't fall out this way. And you got the bosses and then the small end of the rod trying to hold it all together.
Yep.
You know,
It was pretty
That was-
until finally the piston, I think, just gave way. And,
yeah.
yeah. That was a good one. That was a good one.
Yeah. I was like a crutch.
Yeah. That was a crying weekend.
Yeah.
So
It's tough because,
Yeah.
I guess I've been around it for so long. I'm pretty desensitized to the madness of failures, like engine failures like that. And you're always you're sitting there trying to figure out what was it? Was it the fuel or the tune or part or, you don't know until you can take it apart and really take a look at it. So it's funny getting the phone calls, freaking out about stuff. And it's like, just send it in. We'll take a look at it. We'll figure out what broke. It could be a number of things. And sometimes it'll come in and there's nothing wrong with the engine, like a sump gear broke or, the engine's smoking a lot because it's not actually pulling any of the crankcase evacuation. It's not evacuating the crankcase. So it's just billowing smoke out everywhere and there's nothing wrong with the engine. So you take the stator cover off, the gear's broke, you just replace the gear, put the stator cover back on it, ship it back to them. They didn't even pull out of the car. So sometimes it can be serious, sometimes it's not serious.
right.
Oh yeah. When you're dealing with the customer service side of it, people want it fixed and they want it done now.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And if you have all them parts in stock, you're just pulling things apart, fixing them real quick, sending them back out.
I will say this though,
Yeah.
there's never been one time that John and his whole team has not under promised and over delivered on anything that they've done for me. That's been the biggest thing that I've always told everybody over the years is My goodness, they tell me it's going to show up on Tuesday, and I end up getting it on Monday. Kind
That's
of,
a good.
Yeah.
For sure.
So and of course, without getting into all this, the details, John, what you and the team has done for me and my car over the years is just second to none, man. You guys are awesome.
Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, I can't thank you enough, and we're hoping that someday we're going to be able to offer a little something for you in return.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's like I said, it's cool that you even give us your time.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, yeah.
So
Thanks,
because
I mean, thanks for inviting me on. It's good talking to you guys every once in a while.
yeah. So because I know, again, like I discussed earlier, you're a working man. You're always hands on. So when you're not working, you're not making money. So that another reason why we really appreciate your time. So
I mean, half of it is just everybody pushing me all the time to get some new product. Like, hey, when are these tunes releasing, man? When are you gonna have these turbo kits? Like, they hear about it through the grapevine that we have new stuff coming,
yeah,
and they just hound me, and I'm just busting on it all the time, trying to get it ready and done. But
I bet.
I mean,
Well, it's a
I
good
like
thing.
it. It's yeah. I mean, the engine stuff, going to that, like, we seen an issue with people wanting an engine now. Like, so we sped that process up. And like we're always trying to get the ball rolling and not have people wait for stuff. The
Yep.
development and the tuning stuff obviously takes quite a bit more time, especially on these new ECUs. But the only way you can get to the point we're at now is just a ton of work. Like, it just takes a ton of time to get it all set up and working right.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people really see the background, all the underlaying that you
Oh,
do to lay this
no.
out.
No, and
yeah, I mean,
it's
we could basically build an engine in a day. Like, it could show up if it showed up at 9, 10 in the morning,
Mhm.
it could get torn down, vapor honed, hand off to our engine builder guy that runs the CNCs too. Closed decked, we can deck it, get it in the hone, clean it up, get it in the build room, and then by like 6, 7 o'clock, you can have in a full closed deck. I guess while you're building the engine, you could be porting the head, and like that's like having it all in house makes it possible to get it done that quick.
yeah,
Like, it's it's a lot of things to make it happen that way, but we control the whole package now. There's no waiting for somebody to deliver. What I mean? We could just get it done.
Sure, I remember watching the videos you guys bringing in those big old machines.
yeah,
I'm like, shoot, you could have bought another house for that.
yeah. They're
Probably a
awesome.
couple houses.
Yeah.
Yep.
But in general, if you're building a great business and you're doing them in house, if something's wrong with them, you know what's wrong with them.
Yeah, yeah.
And taking care of the customers keeps them back, and they keep telling everybody else.
There's just no the excuses go away. There's no more excuses.
Yep.
We're not like, hey, where's my stuff at? Oh, I'm waiting for it to come from the machine shop. That's gone.
Yeah.
Like for example, we ported a head today. This is like a real odd one, but we ported a core that we had today on the shelf, and then Mike was doing the valve job on it, and he noticed, like, as he was cutting it, he was almost done with it. So we ported the head already. It's in the valve job machine, and the seat cracked. The seat was actually cracked, so that head's like junk. So, like, if we sent that head out to somebody, we spent all this money to get it ported, it comes back, someone's doing the valve job and they don't notice that or whatever, and that seat falls out, like, whose problem's that? Like,
Yeah.
That's a big deal. If not everybody's paying attention to all those little details and didn't notice that seat was cracked, that
Sure.
would have been a big problem.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that'd
So-
wreck a whole motor.
Yeah, so we basically just put the head to the side, put another head in the machine, port it up, and we'll have another one done tomorrow.
Nice.
Like, yeah, like I've luckily too, like a lot of our guys I've worked with for a long time. I've known Mike longer than I've even owned the business. He was doing the same stuff, like the old Mitsubishi stuff back in the day. So I've just known him forever. So we all have a pretty good trust and understanding of what we're trying to do and what we're trying to deliver. And yeah, it's been really good.
You know, and you've mentioned the Mitsubishis a couple of times, and I don't
Yep.
know if everybody knows that you came from the street. You were a big tuner of those four cylinders
Yeah,
on the street. You know,
we tuned, yeah,
a lot.
and it's still like honestly, I didn't think it was gonna stay that big of a thing, but I mean, I have buddies I talk to still like big tuners and stuff. That's all they do.
You know,
Is Mitsubishis. I
Well-
mean, they only made so many of them, so you have to like touch the same one multiple times for it to stay in business over 10 years. Like, you just can't do it.
that's
But-
funny. That's
Yeah, I mean,
funny.
it's
So I
Yeah,
guess
it's cool.
that was what was going to lead me to my next question. What made you steer away from the cars and get into the side by sides, John?
well, I mean, the at that point in time, like the EPA was getting down on people that were tuning on the street, like tuning cars for road. So, like a Honda tuner got popped real bad. I can't remember his name anymore, but he got hit, and then a bunch of diesel places, which they're definitely going to the extreme with the deletes and all that stuff. I've never really done any diesel stuff, but we live out in the country. I was like, man, I'm gonna get a Razor. These things are turbo. They're sweet. Like, we're gonna start playing with them. And I went to Leaders to get a Razor to check them out, and then I seen the X3 there, and I'm like, oh my god, this thing is sweet. Like 3 cylinders turbo. What's up, buddy?
He's ready to play some games.
Let me see. Well, then go.
I can't.
Yeah, you can.
I'm
Um.
taking a walk.
Okay. So yeah, I seen the X3, and then I was still doing cars when I had the X3. I didn't go all in. Like the Evo, like my Mitsubishi race car. Like Johnny was just born actually, and I was still racing it. At this point we're on the track only. The car was like an 8-second car, and then it got like they're all-wheel drive, but they don't really ever go straight. Like, it takes a lot of work to make those cars go straight because you're shifting them. So every shift is extremely violent. So the car would just like skate all over the place, and it got real loose at the 1,000-foot. Almost like took out all the center cones, and I'm like, man, I'm done doing this. Like, I got my 8-second pass. I mean, to go from 890s to 80s is probably 6 figures easy.
Yeah.
And just broken parts and time and turbos and everything else. So I'm like, I got my 8-second pass. I'm just going to put that away. And I still have the car, just the shell of it. So a guy from Botswana bought everything. The engine, transmission, drive shaft, like the entire car, ECU turbo kit. So I put it all in 2 huge boxes and shipped it to basically South Africa.
Oh,
And then they put it in their car and raced it. And then I
Nice.
just kept the shell. And then at that point, I was playing with like the Ford Raptor. I had a Raptor and a Mustang Turbo, the 2.3 EcoBoost.
mm-hmm.
And then I had the Can-Am at the same time. So I was kind of tuning all of them at the same time a little bit. And then really, I think like the short course stuff, I got asked to help some guys with short course. And then it just went crazy after that.
Yeah.
I mean, it was impossible to focus on the Fords. I got rid of both the Raptor and the Mustang. I bought a diesel truck to pull the stuff around, and that was it.
Nice.
Can-Ams. Well, we started in Can-Ams. Then I got the Pro XP. I had a couple Pro XPs, but I got the Pro R and then Maverick R
Yeah.
and the Defender, I guess. But
Nice.
then we did snowmobiles too. I'm sure you've seen the snowmobile stuff.
Oh yeah. Yep. That big
That's
power.
good. That was more popular than I mean, we had a good winter, so it made it good. But like the snowmobile market's a weird one. Like if you have no snow, it's a bad
Sure.
year. If that's your only thing, you know what I mean? Like it's not our main gig. You know what I mean? Like the side by side is our main thing. The good thing is those ECUs are very similar, so
Mhm.
it's very easy for us to get in there and modify everything up and get them working really good.
Nice.
So,
Yeah, the side by sides are it's just growing phenomenally.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And then course, like you experienced, you were, I mean, with Project 120X, I mean, that was the
Yeah.
original rocket ship, right? And
Yeah.
and the drag racing part, that's really the competition, side by side competition. It started on the drag strip and on the short course, and
Yeah.
and even those are evolving. There's a lot of a lot more competitions now with the side by side and the UTV. You've got hill climbs, endurance racing, King of the Hammers, mud bogging, bounty
Yeah.
holes. They're pretty versatile. Yeah.
Yeah, the drag racing stuff was crazy there for a while,
Yep.
but it really fell out big time. Like there was really like these core dudes, maybe like 10 people that would be all the big races or like be supporting cars and all that stuff, and like the records, like when we started racing them, the record thing wasn't even a thing. Like,
Right.
the dude told me you set the record for this class or something like that. I'm like, oh, I don't even know. Like we're just trying to go as fast as we can.
Uh-huh.
And then the World Sand Drag guys set up like multiple classes, and with very little feedback from me at least, or like guys that I know, like as they were setting the rules up, they just kind of set up rules, and then all the records were being basically tossed around. Like, we had a record, then they had a record, then we got the record back. Then the cars just got to the point where the only way you can go faster was to have a jockey, like a lightweight guy with a lot of titanium,
Yep.
and like the perfect day to go faster. And a lot of people just don't want to build a car and let someone else drive it. I think that's the biggest problem.
Mhm.
That world right now is they don't have a weight limit on any class. So it's just run, like basically fit this rule set. You need this size turbo, this length, this fuel, and they don't put a weight limit on it. If you don't have a weight limit, like I'm not a competitive person in a side by side
No.
drag racing. I weigh 240 pounds. I can put a 130-pound guy in the car and gain a tenth.
Yep.
Like if we're talking about records or just racing in general, it's a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
It sure is.
we're like, you could be close to 10% of the weight of the vehicle. You know what I mean? Like well, you're over that. So I think my 120 car maybe weighed like 1,200 pounds.
Huh.
So me sitting in it's 1,400 pounds. That's quite a bit of weight.
Yeah,
Like it's
it is.
significant amount.
Yep, it sure is.
But I don't know. I mean, Sand Outlaws series has always had a weight rule, which was cool. And then there was a lot of like record reset races, which are like there's just no weight, just run what you run, basically. And like say you wanted to go race in a 46 millimeter class, to race with the top guys in 46, you have to be making over 500 horsepower on my main line, and the car has to probably weigh like 1,100-ish maybe pounds. And the only way to get there is, a ton of cutting, a ton of like titanium stuff and like lightweight stuff everywhere.
Yeah.
Probably remove the radiator, lightweight lithium battery. You're spending like an exorbitant amount of money to get to the point where you could be really competitive against those guys.
Yeah.
Versus putting a weight rule on it, and then all of that kind of doesn't matter as much.
Right.
You don't really need to do that much work to get a car down to, say 1,250, 1,300 pounds, and to put a 200-pound dude in it and have that weight rule at whatever 1,450 or 1,500.
Uh-huh.
You can put a ton more people in that class.
Sure
You
can.
know, but the highest dollar amount guys racing against guys that just want to go have fun, and it's really competitive.
Yeah.
So,
Well, I mean, short course, I mean, a lot of people are doing that, but they're having struggles now, too.
Yeah, that's starting to
The insurance.
to peter
Yeah.
off a little.
There's
Yeah.
2 of the big events that are shut down this year because they can't get insurance. So unless you're running at a park that already has insurance or something else, and I mean, that one you can get as much money as you want to, too.
Yeah.
But at least if you're in a regular race car or just one set up with enough power, you can usually be competitive if the track's set right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, like in short course, guys get hurt a lot. I don't know like what the main drive was for the insurance price to go up, but I mean the back thing is probably the biggest part, getting hurt.
Well,
Guys
yes.
bottoming out and breaking their back.
Yep, or hitting each other, flipping over, doing all the other stuff.
Oh,
yeah,
yeah.
there's a lot to it.
Yep.
That's why I like the enduro races.
Yeah, that's
Just let them go, and we'll just keep up behind you.
I'm an enduro guy, man. I'm more of the hare scramble. Give me 2 hours and I'll see you at the finish line.
Yep.
Yeah, I wonder like I guess I don't even really know how like the Baja 1000 would like really insure themselves, or King of the Hammers would insure themselves for that type of racing.
Yeah.
You know,
Well,
versus,
I
like, a
wonder
short
how they
course.
would.
Well, you got to have insurance. They have each pit crew has to pay the $500 insurance. The driver has to pay the $500 per driver, like for their insurance.
Well, that's for the hammers.
Yeah,
Yep.
the hammers and stuff like that.
Yep.
So a lot of it's getting paid by the drivers or the pit crew.
Yeah, you're right. Because even the Ultra 4 at Badlands, anybody that's in the pit has to have that same insurance policy.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's like $400 or $500 per person.
I did the Baja 1000, but I feel like I did have to get insurance, but I don't even remember anymore. Like a personal insurance.
Yeah.
And like if I got hurt, I would be taken to the United States, like to get worked on. Like that was like in the clause, like I would be sent back to the United States to go to a hospital or something.
Oh.
But I mean that's a huge ordeal. That's a ton of ground to cover. You know, like
Yeah.
from I mean, I guess if it's the if it's the loop or all the way down, I mean, it's still a ton of ground to cover down there.
Absolutely.
And it's easy to get, hurt pretty bad out in the middle of nowhere versus a closed course environment. Like,
Yeah.
Someone goes off track and there's people there like almost immediately.
Sure.
Well, even the smaller ones at the Badlands, it's either 4 or 5 mile track.
Yeah.
And so you're going into a loop as many times as you can within that hour to 2 hours, depends on which race you're in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, that's what we're originally we were going to take the Polaris, the Pro XP, and turn that into a show pony. That was the endurance car, and now we're gonna put that back together and do some racing with that again. We're gonna the show pony portion, or we're not gonna do that. We're not gonna put
No.
that 4-cylinder on that Pro XP now. So
No. Next year, we're going to look for a 4-cylinder Can-Am X3. Something's been wrong. Either motor's blown.
4-seater.
4-seater.
Yeah, 4-seater. Yeah.
Okay.
That we can that's been wrecked or something that we can tear apart and rebuild into something that's different.
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
Give us a little bit more room with the 4-seater.
It seems like the prices of side-by-sides have been going down a little bit.
They sure have, especially on the used market.
They've dropped a lot,
Yeah.
even on the new ones.
Yeah, the new ones have got incentives and the prices have gone down. But, I mean, you think about it, though. I mean, you can buy that new Ford Escape. Well, it looks like the Escape on steroids. And,
Yeah.
I mean, that's a $26,000 car. That's a car, right? Why is a side-by-side $30,000?
Yeah.
Or
45.
yeah, I know there's a lot there, don't get me wrong, but they are a little overpriced in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, I guess like they have to. The funny part is like they warranty stuff,
Yeah.
but they don't really warranty stuff. So it's like if enough people complained that these things were breaking in stock form and they shouldn't have been, and they had to replace all those parts and were factored into it. But it seems like it's mostly denied. Most of the warranty stuff I hear is like denied.
Yep.
Well,
So-
if you have a warranty, you need to call them in advance. Like if it's Polaris, you call them in advance, start complaining before you even take it into the dealership. And then once you drop it off the dealership, you call back to the Polaris and complain to them again.
Yeah.
And then tell them
It
how.
sucks that you got to spend that much of your time.
Yeah.
That's why, like, when I buy my machines, I don't even want a warranty.
No.
Like, I'll just deal with it because I just don't want to deal with wasting the time with them. It's crazy that it takes that much time to do it. Like, there's like this huge drawn out process to make you just quit
Yep.
Yeah.
trying to get parts for free or whatever.
I just
Or,
bought it
like
for my.
parts replaced like they should be.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was an alternator in the Pro R. I just went and spent $500 and bought a new one, then to go for the warranty
Yeah.
because I didn't want to deal with it.
No, it's
It
just
kind of sucks.
yeah. Well, that and with dealing with the dealerships is typically a challenge as well. You
Yeah.
know, it's tough. The dealerships are all struggling with their service department. You know, I mean, let's face. I've never heard of one that wasn't. So, if you know of one in Michigan, let me know because we are still looking for a decent one. As of right now, we go down to Indiana. We've the new best dealership on the planet, John, is Attica Power Sports.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, that place is amazing.
They got it going on.
Yeah, they do. Their service department, top notch.
300 over 300 units.
Yeah, yeah. Their service, their sales people, they treat you like family. Yeah, that place and their prices. My goodness, I mean, you can't afford to shop in Michigan. Be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's like from a service side, I can see it being very difficult to like have a good service department
Yeah.
in these complicated turbo vehicles. You know, there's just you
Well,
put
just-
a turbo on it, this adds another level of complexity that is very hard to diagnose sometimes. And I mean, luckily, our like tech department, if you will, is like been around for a long time. When they train, you know, they're training with like me or whatever, and there's always that constant conversation. I've been doing turbo cars my whole life, so it's relatively
Yeah.
easy for me to diagnose the stuff. But if you're fresh and new and you don't have a bunch of experienced people, it can be extremely difficult, I'm sure.
Sure.
Well, and then a lot of the workers don't care, or the ones that do care that learn it might want to be like Wayne, wants to go sell his own stuff,
Yeah.
start working on some machines himself.
Yeah. I just did that because the local guy wanted his stuff fixed. So, but that's a perfect example, though, John. That I've got a machine that just left my garage that I did a maintenance schedule on for a gentleman. It's got 7,000 miles on it, and that front diff plug had never been pulled, and it'd been serviced at 2 different dealerships.
Yeah.
You know, and
You don't
then
need that.
yeah, and then the next thing, yeah, we'll edit this out. This ain't going in, but the other thing too, I put it up on the hoist, and you know, the guy says that it's wandering going down the road, and of course, all the wheels are loose. Dude, those wheel bearings weren't maybe at 100 foot-pounds at best. I mean, they had never been checked and torqued. It's like, man, this thing's got 7,000 miles on it. It's been to the dealership probably a half dozen times,
Yeah.
and none of that stuff has ever been checked. You know, so
I mean, you know, half of it too is like it is a high performance machine. And
Yes.
There's a lot that goes into getting them to the back to new level. And I feel like sometimes maybe like people don't want to like spend the money to go like a full like do all the wheel bearings, like replace everything, or they're just not. Maybe the service department isn't telling them, hey, you're gonna need wheel bearings, you're gonna need brakes, like you're gonna like it's just we know at this time you're gonna need all this stuff. So
Yep.
you might as well prepare for it,
Yep.
and we'll make it all right. Maybe they're just going for the minimum, like the least amount. Like we'll change the oil, put an air filter in it, and that's it.
yep.
Nothing more. Like no education to what could possibly be wrong with it at that point.
Mm-hmm.
Who changes oil?
Right.
I don't.
Yeah,
Once the motor goes, it blows. It shoots out the bottom anyway.
I do a lot. I change my oil way more than I should, but whatever. I'm crazy about it.
Proper maintenance is always key.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yep.
my brakes on my Pro R, I'm going to say within a month they were already down to metal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I slam on those brakes, and that's my own
Brakes?
problem.
Who needs brakes?
Yeah. Well, that's why the last 2 races I kept going way off the end because I didn't really have any brakes.
Yeah. Yeah,
Full speed, no brakes.
Blame it on the brakes, Jason.
Yeah, I mean it's a high performance machine, man. Like
Yep.
if you're really driving it hard, you're gonna. And it's not. They're not very big. Like none of that stuff is really
No.
that big.
No.
So like you're just gonna wear them out quick.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah.
Well, every 2 races, the Pro XP, every 2 races, I had to replace the bearings and all of it, ball joints, brakes. I
Oh,
mean,
yeah.
just coming around corner, slam going.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
They were gone.
Wear them out.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Pro short course guys, man, those guys are like diffs, drive shafts, axles, wheel bearings every single time. Like the wheel bearing thing was like a huge problem.
Yeah.
You know, like they would just push the wheel bearings right out of the hubs.
Yep.
Like developed all these things to keep the wheel bearings inside the hubs.
Yeah.
Fillet knuckles, all this stuff. like DPS units. I mean, it was like every single time they go out and race, there's like all these spare parts to keep this thing going.
Yep.
You need
it's a ton
another
of money to
trailer.
do it. And just maintenance. Like really, it's like these guys can race a clean race, and they didn't hit anybody, and they still have to replace parts.
Yep.
It's like it's just racing. Just is what it is.
100%.
I'm going to do a lot more riding of enjoyment this year.
Yeah.
Less
Well, it's
upside
cheaper.
down. Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah. That's his
Definitely
goal. We're
cheaper.
going to try to keep him greasy side down for a while.
Try.
Yeah. I didn't say we were going to. I said we're going to try to. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I do not need to cry myself to sleep anymore.
no, but I know you said you're busy all the way up until July, right? Well, this year, we've talked a little bit about this mud jam thing we got here in Michigan. That is August 12th through the 17th, John. Jason and Fusion Off-Road's going to be front and center. We're going to be parked right up front with all the important stuff, not with all the tatas out back.
Gotcha.
We'll be up front where it's still not child friendly though. I'm not going to lie. I wouldn't bring a child on the property, but it's definitely a lot less adult oriented up by the grandstands. That Brian Henn will be there camping with us. Man, it would be awesome if you wanted to come join the week with us. Bring your banners, bring the whole Whalen crew, and
We need to find some more local stuff. And
Yeah.
I think this year the talk was to do more local stuff.
Awesome.
with Johnny get a little bit older now. Our like 2-week extravaganzas, the Glamis, is a little difficult during the school year.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of hard to do it.
So
So we do want to set up some local events. So if you just want to like shoot me those dates, I'm probably gonna like build out a list of things for all the guys to set up and make sure that they're free that weekend. And we'll go out there. I'm pretty sure some of my guys already go. They just go like personally.
nice.
They don't like. They just go and hang out and have fun.
Nice. Well, I mean, we'll do like a base camp thing, where
Okay.
we can all protect one another to keep everybody away from Jason.
I gotcha. That sounds good.
So no, it'll be a lot of fun. And then, I mean, we're hoping that we're gonna have some pretty big hitters come and play in the mud with us too. So it's looking like a lot of those big Southern boys are gonna come up here.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
So, in fact,
Sure.
I told Jason, I says, if I had the proper safety stuff on my machine, I'd ask you to crank that thing up for a 3-second blast, and I'd call Mudman out at Mud Jam.
Honestly, like you probably make enough power right now to be a problem in the mud if you had the right tires and everything else.
Yep.
I'd say most of the guys that I helped down there, they do really well at your power. I'd say
Yeah.
most of the guys are probably right in that range.
Yep.
Well, are you GTX though, or you FP Green?
I'm a GTX. Yep. 46 millimeter. Yep.
Yeah. So that kit is pretty popular.
Yep.
And then a lot of the guys will run like compound setups or nitrous because the tires are so big and they need to light up so quick to get the party going. So
Yep.
a little nitrous on there. Whatever.
Yep.
But, yeah, I mean those. I think you'd be surprised. I think if you had the right tire and suspension portal set up, you'd be a problem out there.
Well, we found out not last year. Well, yeah, it was last year at the mud bog in Crystal. My sand tires in the mud. I mean, dude, that thing, it's unreal.
He skipped.
Yeah, it is. It is unreal. Those tires hook better in the mud than they ever hook in the sand. Like,
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, when I let go of that launch control button, I about pooped my pants, man. it was fun. So you're right. The tires definitely help, but of course,
A lot of guys run 4 paddles, like 4 rear paddles on them,
Yeah.
in the mud stuff.
well, the problem is you just got no side bite.
Yeah.
You got to try to keep it straight, and it's good. It's tough to keep it straight. I'm not gonna lie.
Oh yeah.
So,
But some of those big tire guys, I mean, they'll skim that. They'll skim right across the water with those.
Yep.
They got enough fuel speed to go.
yep.
It's pretty
Yep. Well, I mean, up at Silver Lake, I'll back, the water puddle up there. I'll get 15, 20 feet away from that and I'll shoot across it. I mean, with those paddles, it'll walk on the water for a ways,
Wow. Yeah.
So, yeah, like I said, when we entered that mud bog there, I told Jason, I said, well, my whole goal is I'm just going to try to outrun the mud so I don't have to wash my machine. And I was being a smart aleck. And after that first pass, I came back and I'm like, holy smokes, Jason, look, it's not even dirty. Like, it didn't get
cool.
dirty. I outran the mud.
Yeah, I was sunk in.
Yeah.
My machine's too heavy.
Oh, yeah, it was fun though. So, but yeah, because again, we ran into Josh Carmen at OPE, and Josh is, I mean, he's got that Chuck Norris, he won the Mud Madness. He's an Evo guy. And in fact, John, this is something that I do want to bring up. Okay. And this will bring up on camera. John, I've known you for several years. I have never heard you bash any other company. You do not belittle others. You don't bash others. In fact, you support others. I've seen you work tuning on other people's products. So you are a team player when it comes to the industry. Now, that being said, that there are others out there that don't play by those same rules, right? Yeah. And so we ran into to Josh down south. We became friends. That what started the whole relationship is I was picking on his Evo, he was picking on my Whalen, and we put a sticker of him on my machine right behind the Whalen wings. and it's Josh with a superhero cape, and I said, look, you're chasing the Whalen wings. Well, he put that on his Missouri Mudders page. Well, he's sponsored by Evo.
Yeah.
Buddy, they come unglued. Like,
oh, really?
He got phone calls. He was told to take that thing down. I laughed so hard. It was funny. It was a lot of fun. But again, that's one thing I can't thank you enough for being so supportive and just, for everybody in the industry. You've said it more than once. That's what promotes competition. That's what keeps the pricing semi-affordable,
Yep.
And then most importantly, it keeps you guys innovating, right? It makes you want to be better. So that's awesome.
Yeah, I mean, back in the day, I probably was a little more feisty when it comes to that stuff, but it's generally not the top guys talking crap about each other. It's
Nope.
clients and passionate clients pushing back and forth. Some of them are not reeled in like they should be. Like if you're if you're out there just talking crap publicly all the time, I'd probably have a conversation, be like, hey,
Yep.
if you're like supporting my brand, like you just support me. Let's not talk crap. You know what I mean? Like, because a lot of people get a bad taste about that. Like,
Sure.
a ton of people just don't want to be associated with that type of person. Some people love that type of animosity.
They do.
Some people love being on the team that talks crap all the time. But, in a year's time, like when things settle down a little bit and that adrenaline rush wears off, they realize that it's not the case. You know what I mean? Like, they'll stop talking crap and then like they'll call for help or whatever. I mean, a lot of times people buy an engine from us while running the other guy's stuff.
Yep.
Like just because we have the engines on the shelf and they're ready to go. It could be anything like that.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, nothing good ever comes from talking crap. From somebody.
No, not at all.
No, but I've heard you commend others as well.
Yeah.
I
mean, like, everybody's doing the same amount of work to get to this point.
Yep.
Like, there's no shortcuts. You're at the, like, bleeding edge of everything happening. It's not like they're stealing stuff from people.
Nope.
There's definitely been situations where tuners steal stuff from other people and get a huge advantage. But if you're, like, on the forefront of developing all this stuff, you're pretty much on your own.
Yep.
So, if somebody was stealing stuff, I'd probably have a different thing to say about them. But most of the main players in the game, they're doing it. They're
Yep.
working hard to make it happen. So
Nice.
we just work.
Nice.
We obviously go our own paths in some ways, but we're still moving.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, it's good to be able to set your own direction. And when you get to the top, it's like anything. Somebody's going to try to tear you down to build you up, build them up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's in everything, every sport, everything.
Yeah.
I mean, a lot of times you really don't even need to say anything. You just show up. Like it wasn't very easy to break into the side-by-side market, but there's no doubt when like you just car after car after cars winning events, setting records, whatever, everything's going really good. It's clear. Like there's no doubt that person can produce a good product. You know what I mean? So, and it, like you see it happen all the time. Some new shop will like post whatever, cages, tunes, whatever. There's like a christening period, or like, it's like you have to be able to prove that you're good enough to have people back you.
Mm-hmm.
And if you screw up in the beginning, it's very difficult to be respected in this industry, especially with like Facebook and social media and all that stuff. I mean, you can get beat down immediately if you screw up enough. So you got to make sure your stuff's right from the get and just show up and make stuff happen and work right. And it speaks for itself. Like it will just literally work itself out.
Yep.
100%. And you nailed it too, making sure that stuff is right. That you put so much work in the background on some of the stuff that you're releasing that, let's face it, others have kind of beat you to the punch on some things, and that hasn't slowed you down, that hasn't deterred you, it hasn't made you just willy-nilly throw something out there to see if it sticks. You still sat back determined and made sure that it was right before you would release it and put your name on it, and that's something that's pretty spectacular as well too. So
Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's probably a lot of people that will just literally wait for me to get my stuff done. Like they're not in a rush. They know what I can do, and like I mean, there's a ton of people. When we first released that, I mean, like the amount of stuff we were selling was crazy. Obviously it gets to the point where it's a little more normal now. Like it's more of a consistent thing. But if you release, like especially tuning, like stuff that's really goofy or bad, like, it'll show its face quickly, and now you have all these problems. Like all these people have all this same issue, and you're trying to push updates or recalls or whatever you would do in the tuning world. It gets obviously a little bit difficult from that standpoint, but you want to make sure it's good. Like you got to give it to the right people to test it in different areas and make sure that it's going to work in that situation really good too.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, race car drivers are the best situation, and if like one 400-mile race or something like that, I mean, you're beating the crap out of your car for a long time, and those guys are very critical with how their cars run.
Yeah,
so you get it into like a professional high-level racer's car. Like you got to give them something that's gonna be really good because they're doing a 400-mile race. They can't blow up. Like it's got to be good fuel economy, like responsive, all those things. But that just proves that you did everything right. If they get through it and everything was good, then it's ready to
go. Yeah. That's funny because I got a buddy of mine who kind of told me the opposite the other day. I was talking to a buddy of mine about that 4-cylinder engine that I'm gonna have some work done on, and he got away from the engine stuff, and he says I'm never building another engine for a circle guy ever, and because that's what he used to do, is build engines for the dirt track, and I says, why is that, Hoff? And he says, because those circle track guys don't ever look at a gauge. I don't even know why they would put them in there. He says, now drag racers are different. A drag racer, that engine is a critical component of their car, so they're watching everything about that engine. Them circle guys just get in there and put it to the floor and blow them up. That's all they do, So
I mean, we do deal with like cultures are a little different in how they go about stuff. Like where you're at in the world, snowmobilers are a lot different than side-by-side guys, and just how they ride and like what they're worried about. Like they're super worried about like warranties and stuff like that. like that is a main concern. Is like, is this thing reliable? I'm like, I wouldn't sell it if it wasn't reliable. You know what I mean? Like,
Uh-huh.
you know, like, and I think a lot of the snowmobile guys don't realize that we've been doing the 900 for so long, the 900 turbo for so long. Like, you know, for the most part, they're identical engines. You could put an X3 engine in a sled. Like, you could just drop it right in there.
Sure.
You know? So, like, the turbo is a little bit different, but it's the same turbo. It's just flipped upside down. It's like pushed downward instead of pushed upward.
Okay.
Everything's the same. You know, so, like, we know what they need. It's not like this is, like, reinventing the wheel. You know what I mean? So, like, that's their main concern, is that type of stuff. Depending on where they're at in the world, East Coast guys are a little more, I guess, like, brutal on their stuff than the West Coast guys.
Okay.
Like, maybe West Coast is a little more, like, finesse, and then the East Coast guys are, like, hammer type thing. Like,
Yeah.
but, you know, it's interesting to see, like, things that you have. Like, you're going to talk to East Coast guys about specific things in the tune that is a lot different than the West Coast guys.
Sure.
Or, like, the Middle East guys, or, you know, it's just, you know, their focus is on different things. So, you know, like, for example, I can make, like, a really good tune calibration that works pretty universal. And I can make, like, certain things that help the East Coast guys out more. And then certain things that help the West Coast guys out more. So then, like, the tune will kind of branch around it to maybe be, like, a little bit better at crawling. You know what I mean? Like, you could shift into, you know, like, you can, like, in the Maverick R, you got to press the brake to shift, you know, between gears. I could technically make it shift without pressing the brake. That wouldn't be something I would do on the West Coast. That'd only be a East Coast thing.
Right.
So,
Right.
but, yeah, I mean, there's just differences, you know, like,
Nice.
kind of figuring out the differences is the big thing.
Sure. Sure. Well, you know, John, I can't thank you enough for your time. Not that I want to cut anything short by any means.
No, it's good.
But golly, you know, you've given us 2 hours of your time. I could talk all night. I mean,